What's up and welcome. This is me, you, and Switch 2. I am me, Tom Tates, and you are you. So let's talk about Switch 2. This is the latest and greatest Nintendo Switch 2 news, brought to you every Tuesday and Friday in snackable episodes. We try to keep it 10 minutes or less. Welcome to the show. If this is your first time, thank you for tuning in. If it's not your first time, I appreciate you coming back. Today is Tuesday, February 10th. It is 7:54 a.m. on the East Coast. I hope that you had a great weekend, great start to the week. I did get a little bit of gaming time in this weekend, but not nearly enough. I'm trying to tear through my backlog this year. I have a long list of games to get through, so I need to find a new way. I need to find more time to carve out. If anyone has any tips, let me know. Okay, we're hot off of a Nintendo Direct last week. We covered that on Thursday. Then we dug into some Dragon Quest VII Reimagined reviews on Friday. The big game, the Super Bowl, was on Sunday. I didn't see much gaming news come out of the Super Bowl or coverage, but I did see a 60-second Pokemon ad with Lady Gaga and other celebrities. Somebody estimated that ad cost more than the development of Legends Z through A, the actual game's development, which is just wild to me. Okay, today we've got Yakuza Kiwami reviews. We've got some Virtual Boy impressions, and then we're going to round things out with some quick headlines. We'll try to keep things fast. Yakuza Kiwami 3 and Dark Ties. This will release on Thursday. That is February 12th. It'll be $60. It's releasing the same day as Mario Tennis. Mario Tennis, I believe, is $70. This is a remake of Yakuza 3. Which released in 2009, and then it received an HD remaster in 2019. I've read a ton of reviews over the past day or so, so here are just some quick highlights from what I read. First being, combat has been refined from the original, so if you've played the original and you felt that it was slow, you kind of dredged through the combat. It's easier to string combos together. It's generally more interesting as well. Tristan Ogilvie from IGN wrote, dramatically speeds up enemy encounters and endows Kiryu with two flexible fighting styles to cover all his thug-bashing bases. So the game speeds up the encounters. One of those fighting styles is hand-to-hand combat, and the other equips him with weapons. IGN did give it a 7 out of 10, saying Yakuza Kiwami 3 and Dark Ties is another enjoyable blend of hard-boiled drama and side-story silliness. But as a package, it's not quite as well-rounded as the series' more accomplished entries. So the general vibe of a lot of these reviews are, if you've been playing kind of the Like a Dragon Yakuza games and some of the later games, to go back to some of the older games. They've refined them a ton, but the overall package just doesn't feel as polished or as evolved, which would make sense because these games have evolved over the years. Game Informer's Michael Murphy writes, for newcomers, Kiwami 3 isn't as action-oriented as the original game or even Yakuza 0, but focuses on the drama and familial aspects with questions of morality and trust at the forefront. As a result, Yakuza 3 has one of my favorite narratives in the series, and Kiwami keeps it mostly intact, apart from some missed opportunities and plot changes. He also wrote about the new side content, which is Dark Ties. He said the biggest addition is, of course, the new narrative arc Dark Ties, which follows antagonist Yoshitaka Mine on his rise to power in the Tojo clan. While only a few chapters akin to Kiwami 2's Majima saga, it does a great deal to show off Mine and his mysterious psyche. Murphy mentioned the combat for Dark Ties falls short. He also said, compared to Kiwami 3's main game, it's underwhelming, but the fun stories were tolerating the underbaked gameplay. So, he didn't mention this in his review, but I did read this in a few. The new content, Dark Ties, it's like 6 to 8 hours. So it's not like you're getting a full Yakuza game attached to Kiwami 3. He gave the full review an 8 out of 10. Jen Glennon from Polygon commented on the performance of the game. Jen said, I played the Switch 2 version of Yakuza Kiwami 3 and Dark Ties, and though there were noticeable load times ahead of cutscenes and between fights, the visuals were on par with recent Yakuza titles on PS5 and Series X. I found it a fair trade-off for portability, but your mileage may vary. RGG Studio excels at characterful, grizzled faces and impeccable suit fabrics, and little of that meticulous attention to detail is lost in either docked or portable mode on Switch 2. Ollie Reynolds at Nintendo Life gave it a 6 out of 10, which is quite low for Nintendo Life. He had some issues. He said performance is solid, and there are a ton of mini games to explore. But he had a problem with some voice casting and recasting controversies, which I won't get into because I don't know all the details, but it is covered in the review. His joys, Okinawa and Kumarocho, are both compelling environments. Combat is much improved over the original. Dark Ties is a good, streamlined expansion. If you love endless side quests, you'll be in heaven. Visuals have thankfully been fixed for launch. And his cons, very poorly paced with bloated side content, and the recasting controversy may be a distracting deal breaker. So I'll have a link to these articles in the show notes if you want to dive deeper. There's no shortage of Yakuza Kiwami games to play on Nintendo Switch 2. We will continue to get Yakuza games, I'm sure, on this console, which is great because if you want to explore this series, it's nice to do it all in one place. We are a week away, so today is the 10th. We're a week away from the Virtual Boy replica and Virtual Boy cardboard version releasing alongside a library of Virtual Boy games on Nintendo Switch Online. There's a good roundup of journalist impressions covered over at Nintendo Life. Here are a few clips from that roundup. Ollie Reynolds wrote, "It's no secret that the Virtual Boy failed spectacularly when it originally launched back in 1995. As such, you might be under the impression that its games just aren't very good. Well, not so. Virtual Boy Wario Land is an incredible 2D platformer that makes spectacular use of perspective, while Red Alarm is a solid wireframe shoot-'em-up with clear Star Fox inspirations." In Mashable's cover, they said the most vital aspect of all of this. After just a few minutes, my eyes and neck began to hurt, and I had to back away. Now, the Mashable coverage reminds me of complaints from back in 1995, right? I mean, people really did complain about headaches and neck pain and all that stuff. I also read, Game Informer's, this is verbatim from Game Informer. They said, people speak so poorly of the 1995 model that I fully expect it to immediately reject the Switch 2 version, but I came away mildly impressed. When the baseline expectation is headache, neck pain, and nausea, but the actual experience is, pretty neat. I think it's fair to say that this exceeded my expectations. It's far from a perfect device, but it very well may be the best way to revisit Nintendo's worst console. So a couple of reviewers and journalists, they did not experience any pain or headaches, and a couple did. So it's one of those things where I think your mileage may vary. There's so much more in this article. I'll leave a link if you want to read the full roundup. I'm not planning to get this. I did not pre-order it. If I do end up getting it, it'll be the cardboard version. I don't want to spend $100 on this. I love that it exists. I did play one at Toys R Us many, many years ago, and it was just relatively underwhelming. But the unreleased games, there are 2 unreleased games that are very interesting to me, so I would love to experience them in some way. So I love that this exists. I will keep you posted if I end up experiencing it myself, but it is coming in a week. Just to wrap things up, here are a few quick headlines that caught my eye. Previews were released for Mario Wonder Meetup at Bella Bell Park. This is the Switch 2 upgrade. Pretty mixed. I think it'll depend on how much value you put into multiplayer minigames and that type of content. I will have a link in the show notes if you want to read more about that. A Mario Tennis Fever demo has hit GameStop, Target, Walmart, Best Buy kiosks. I did this for Donkey Kong Bonanza. I was driving past the Best Buy. My son and I popped in before Donkey Kong released. We were able to play, 5-10 minutes of Donkey Kong. It was a lot of fun just to experience the game. Similarly, the kiosks will have or should have Mario Tennis Fever now. And again, that releases in just a couple days. A larger list of console archives titles from Hamster has been revealed. We learned about the console archives in the last Nintendo Partner Direct. Ninja Gaiden 2, The Dark Sword of Chaos is out now. Cool Borders is out now. But we also have Doraemon, Nobunaga's Ambition, Mag Max, Sonic Wings Special, Dezemon Plus, Rhapsody, A Musical Adventure, Master of Monsters, Disciples of Gaia, Monster Rancher, Hop About, and UFO, A Day in the Life. All right, we're at the 10-minute mark, so that's going to do it for today. As always, I want to thank you so much for your time and your attention. A kind rating or review on your podcast listening app of choice really helps me continue to grow the show, helps with word of mouth, sharing with a friend, family member, Discord server, subreddit, wherever you hang out with other gamers. That goes even further. If you see an opportunity to position the show, I really appreciate that. Switch2pod.com for all the things. That's switch with the number 2pod.com. You can find me on Blue Sky, also at Switch2pod. Much love. Have a great week. Now go play some games.